Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with the Frito Bandito, that masked man, Bruce McCurdy. Happy birthday, Bruce. Happy.
Hello, David.
Did you? Okay, what percentage of the game did you actually wear that?
100%.
Oh, good for you, because most people don't.
Many people around me did. And to me, that's the cost of doing business. If I'm going to go to the hockey game, I'm going to play by the rules. And it was fun to go to the hockey game, man. Oh,
Isn't
man.
it fun? I had such a
What a
great
joy.
time. Isn't it to be there in the crowd again,
Yes.
Bruce? God, we missed that, eh?
Yes.
It is so good.
662 days for me, not that I was counting, since my last NHL game, which was against the Montreal Canadiens on December 21st of 2019. This was my first NHL game of the 20s. How bad is that? But it was fun to be there. The place was fairly full, not quite packed out, but full. The crowd was pretty lively. And
I wonder if they're not full because of COVID or because of the bad economy or both. Could be both.
There was couple of big strips of empty seats, and usually when you see a block of empty seats, that's unsold seats. If you see them here and there, that's maybe people that didn't come or whatever. And of course, there were people coming in throughout the first period. Really, we got there real early to avoid the big schmozzle, but I suspect that there were people that probably missed the first part of the game, so it takes part of the first period
to get in.
And they were good, like with the certificates and the IDing and everything, but it all takes time. You're going through three layers there. You got security, you got the vaccination thing, and then you got your ticket on your phone now. And among many people, I'm sure, is not very used to pulling out my phone for a hockey ticket.
That's probably the biggest time waster because we're all getting used to showing our passports, right? And with the QR code, that might even be faster. But it's the hunting for that ticket on your phone and all that hoopla that's a little bit difficult, I think, for people. Yeah. Bruce, let's get right at it.
Let's do it.
3-2 overtime win for the Oilers. The grade A shots were 15-10 for the Vancouver Canucks. So the story of the game was Mike Smith's goaltending. We'll get to that in a bit. This is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers podcast because it's a big win, 2 good things each. Why don't I start off with Smith because I think that is the story of the game. He was just I gave him an 8 out of 10. It would have been a 9,
right?
Quite easily, maybe. Yeah, it was not going to be a 10 because you let in a goal. But the first goal was a deflected in off Nuge's stick from the point, and he was screened by Ceci and the Vancouver player, and there's no way he was going to get that. But the second goal was a stinker. And they said, on TV, Louis DeBrusk was saying he was screened. I didn't.
No chance.
I don't think he was screened, honestly. He saw that puck, and he was guessing pass. He was guessing the other way, and he got caught off the post, and that's why he was so mad with himself. That's how I saw it. And so you can't give a guy, it was a great game because other than that, Bruce, 15 grade A shots, and he stopped 14 of them. Like that's outstanding work. I mean, and they just Peterson, Elias Peterson had a number of them. That Höglander is a hell of a player, eh? That's scary how good he might be. He's looking good. He had some chances. Their new defenseman had some chances. What's the guy's name? He's from Edmonton area, I think. And Alex Chason had a number of chances. Burrows is his name. He had an unbelievable chance. There was a chance in the first that went off McDavid, almost went in. And Smith was just fantastic. He in overtime he just stomped down on Tanner Pearson and Peterson, and then he was great in the shootout. He won the shootout with Turris and Nugent Hopkins. So
he robbed Pedersen in the shootout as well with the Hasek style falling on his face. With the glove grab. Yeah. That's one out of the Hasek book.
I thought that was gone for Mike Smith's game, that falling forward stuff, but it did not play. I'll take it.
Well, if you're falling forward with your glove high, you're cutting down the angle by going towards the puck, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's a strange game in terms of how bad the tying goal was with under 3 minutes to go, and just yeah, face palm, double face palm. And I had a really good view of that because I was sitting at that end on that wing, and there's no way he was screened. He just was expecting the guy to pass, and or he lost his post
Yeah.
because Hughes just sort of sifted one in. It wasn't even a rocket; it was an accurate shot just inside the short side post, and he caught Smith, to my mind, cheating. But boy, oh boy, did he make some fantastic saves. Robbie Brown was saying on the post-game show that he thought there was maybe 5 different times that he was sure Vancouver had scored because they made such a good play and they were basically just trying to stuff it home. And somehow Mike Smith was able to come up with the save. And I mean, that one you mentioned off of Pearson in overtime, like to me, they were dead meat. I was getting ready to stand up and walk out. And somehow Smith kept it alive. So he won back fans who maybe were a little sour on that goal. And to be honest, like in the first period, he was fantastic, David. Like
Wasn't
there was
he?
like
Yeah.
two pucks right in the, like I don't know how he saw the puck, and they were bouncing off his skates and they were going to guys on the edge of the crease, and he was just alive, active
He had
all
some
over the
luck.
crease and had
He
some
had some
luck.
good luck. He had some good luck because there's some, if the whistle comes a little bit later on a couple of these plays, there might have been goals. So there was that. Bruce, what's your good thing? What's your first good thing?
Well, I'm going to go with Puljujarvi, who scored the first goal of the 2021-22 season, as predicted by my good friend Paul Almeida, among others, who, when they had this little pool today about who's going to score first. So shout out for Paul. And it was Puljujarvi who jumped on a rebound of a hard Darnell Nurse shot and he was in the slot, planted himself in the slot, and got the puck upstairs. But that was just one of 6 shots that he had in the game. Strong shots, man. He shoots the puck hard, and he's going for the net. And he's such a again, I'll cite Robbie Brown. He called him a disruptor, and I think that's a really good description of Yessa. He just uh, go, just sort of barges around like a bull in the china shop and creates havoc in the defensive zone. He causes loose pucks, and he's got the hands that he can do things with them himself. And of course, if he just creates a loose puck for McDavid and or Draisaitl, that can be a good thing also. So I'm really liking the trajectory of his game in terms of building off the platform of the fine season he had last year, and good in camp, and just looking ready, rip roaring to go, playing with speed and with confidence and fairly aggressive, and he just wants to make things happen, and he's doing exactly that.
Yeah, just before he scored, he popped the puck off the stick on a forecheck. That's what he's really good at, popping that puck.
Yes.
Ken Hitchcock noted that even back in the day when
Mm-hmm.
he was not so loved by his coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Hitchcock noted he had that ability, and he popped it and got it to Draisaitl for a chance. Excuse me, early in the game. So, yeah, he did look good. That line had its adventures at even strength. I'm going to say it was very weak defensively. Um, um, they had 2 grade A chances for Bruce, 5 grade A chances against when they were on the ice. And McDavid and Draisaitl were both at fault, according to my initial review, which you're going to go over, on 4 grade A chances each.
Wow.
So a tough game defensively for that line. Nonetheless, they did score an even strength goal. And it was a beauty of a goal with McDavid wheeling to Nurse and then Puljujarvi with the rebound. Bruce, I thought the best line on the Oilers this game was Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Kailer Yamamoto.
Mm-hmm.
At even strength, I have them creating, I think, 3 grade A chances and giving up not one as a line at least. At even strength, they were on the shots. I think they were 9-4 or something like that. Shots on net. So they just really look good. But it was, I went with the old Warrior, Mike Smith, on my first good thing. But the new Warrior, Zach Hyman, just really, really impressed me. 7 more years of games just like that, Bruce. I will be ecstatic. He was fantastic. He really, Mike Babcock, his coach, says he plays a heavy game. He does play a heavy game. But what surprised me, he had two great rushes up the ice. Absolutely fantastic rushes up the
Yeah.
ice. He also, his puck protection, he protected the puck in the first. He won the puck. He protected the puck, brought it around the net, put it out front. Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins, and that was Edmonton's first really great chance. And then there was another chance where he won the puck on the boards in the defensive zone, puck protected, and put the puck, made a beautiful pass then to Ceci, who relayed it to Yamamoto on the breakaway. Hyman is a fantastic hockey player. I mean, this is the player that I didn't see enough of him in Toronto to, I had that same impression of him when he was in Toronto, just what a good player he was. Now, he's not going to play
You must
every
have gone
game
out
like
of your
that.
way to avoid Toronto games, David, if you didn't see enough of them in Toronto, because they're sure on the TV a lot.
I just watched the Oilers, Bruce. So I only saw them whenever they played the Oilers, and he looked great.
Yeah.
But so anyway, he's not going to be that good every game, but that was a great debut game. I mean, you don't even have to pretend. Like, it's like when Lucic was signed here. It's like, oh, could we, you tried to think, yeah, he played good. You tried to convince yourself a lot. At least I did, Hyman was
Took
just
a bad
good.
penalty, but other than that, he was.
Yeah, he did take a bad penalty.
So,
What do you got now? Is it your
yeah,
second good thing? Yeah.
yeah, my second good thing, and I'm going to go with the penalty killing specifically of Kyler Yamamoto, who I thought was outstanding on the PK. And he played almost 5 minutes tonight, and he was just hustling all around the puck, all over the puck. I'm sure he cleared the zone, a number of times just on his own by winning battles and chipping it out. The Oilers cleared the zone a lot, and they nearly went 5 for 5 on the PK. Vancouver scored very late on their fifth penalty on that weird deflection that caught Nugent's stick out in the high slot.
Yeah.
But they were spending most of the penalty kills, especially the first three, where the puck was barely in Edmonton's zone at all. It seemed like they were just getting it and clearing it time and again. And I just I've thought for a couple of years that Yamamoto had all the makings of being a good penalty killer, and I guess he just needed a little bit of just a little bit of maturity to get the trust of his coaches. And here's game one of the season, and he's playing 5 minutes with his new old buddy Derek Ryan, and they look pretty small out there. But PK small doesn't really matter.
Well, it can.
But at
Well, to
forwards,
get sticks in the passing lane, sometimes it matters. Like, I remember with Mark Lamb out there, he looked awfully small, but that's because he was slow in the end, right?
Right.
He was, or not Mark Lamb. What's the other, like, Mark Letestu.
Right.
Mark Lamb, same thing. But Letestu, as long as Mark Letestu was quick, it worked. You got to be quick if you're going to be small.
Yeah.
Yamamoto is very, very quick, and like Letestu, he is a very, very smart hockey player. They both have that going for them.
He's quick, and he's got a quick stick, and he was anyway. I was impressed, especially with his PK work tonight, and it seemed like he was on the first unit, and then Hyman and Nugent Hopkins were on the second unit. So all three guys on the second line played big time minutes on the penalty kill.
All smart hockey players, really high hockey IQs defensively. They can read the play and good with the puck. Bad things, Bruce. My bad thing was Tyson Barrie. I just thought he really struggled tonight defensively. He was on the ice. He made 6 major mistakes on grade A chances against. So if normally a defense was going to make 1 a game, like, even if you're playing well, you're going to get caught once.
Yeah.
Just it's a tough position. Yeah, it's a tough position. 2's a bad night. 2's not good. You don't want to get to 2. 2's, but that's going to happen too. When you get to 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus, he took a penalty at the end of the game where he tripped up the guy at the key moment. But Bruce, it was just endless with Barrie. He just, he got deked by Elias Peterson on his first shift.
You guys got deked by
Elias
Peterson.
What else?
Pretty good.
He was again. There was another play where he's way in the corner as Peterson gets off a good shot. That was in the second period. He gets walked by Peterson again, and then in the OT, I think he was if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got walked by Peterson in OT. And then he was also the one who allowed the pass in on Tanner Pearson. Nuge was a little slow on the back check there as well.
That was a 2-on-1. It was a beauty pass by Horvat too. That aerial pass across.
By the end of the game, Evan Bouchard in the third period was out in the final minute with Darnell Nurse. This may happen faster than slower. The promotion of Evan Bouchard, who played a really good game, had lots of good moments out there. He wasn't perfect either, but he was far less imperfect, and his good moments were many. He's just, both. Barrie's very good with the puck too. He's a really good passer of the puck, but man, does he struggle on defense. And this was just another episode of an ongoing series, and hopefully he'll settle down after tonight's game. His new focus this year is on defense. I believe him. I believe he's trying to do that. It's just hard. These are fantastic world, the best players in the world, and if you don't have those fundamentals down, you're going to get beat repeatedly. And that's what I saw tonight with Tyson Barrie.
My bad thing is Edmonton's steady beating a path to the penalty box. 5 penalties that they took, including 3, one very late in the second that carried over into the start of the third. And I was thinking at the time it was 2-0. Well, if they can kill this one, they're going to be in good shape. And then they got one sort of few minutes into the third, and I thought, well, if they kill this one, they're going to be in good shape. And they killed that one. Then they got a third one, and that was the Barrie penalty. And again, the same thought. And of course, they couldn't kill it. And then all of a sudden, now what was it? 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes left, and now all of a sudden that last 7 minutes looks like a long time. And sure enough, they were able to get the equalizer. But the penalties were like the one on Hyman, the first one on Hyman, where he kind of overskated the puck and he just reached out and grabbed the guy and spun him around. And I mean, it was an innocuous play, but that's going to get called probably 9 times out of 10. The ref's there. He can't miss it. And it just was totally unnecessary, 150 feet from his net. So that one wasn't good. The one on Chris Russell for cross-checking, where he kind of shoved the guy and the guy crashed into Smith and took him out.
Yeah.
I first thought it was a goalie interference penalty. I was a little shocked that they called Russell out cross-checking. Anyway.
That's the new call, though. That's the call. That is a penalty.
Yeah, well, I guess shoving a guy is now called cross-checking. Anyway. And then the one on Barrie where it was a rare mistake by Darnell Nurse with the 2-0 lead late in the third period, where he jumped up into the rush, and then that left Barrie as a lone defenseman back as Vancouver counterattacked. And Tyson Barrie as a lone defenseman back is not a recipe for success. And it wasn't here either, and he went off for that. And then I thought Oilers got away with one with maybe 2.5 minutes left, right at the blue line in front of me. I thought Leon tripped the Vancouver guy. It was kind of accidental, and the ref kind of, because I'm sure they're thinking, well, we've already called 3 in a row, and Edmonton fans are not happy with us. You know how they go. Yeah. Got to manage the game a little bit, and that time they managed it in Edmonton's favor. It was just a little bit of carelessness with the sticks, and just a little bit of, just the way they defended the lead. They were kind of hanging back and not really creating much in the third period and letting the play come to them a little bit, and that's not a recipe. Well,
they didn't have. They didn't have, after their last grade A chance was 6 minutes into the third period for the Oilers, and Vancouver had 4 grade A chances after that, including 2 in overtime, and then the tying goal, which was not a grade A chance, which was a C chance, as I rated it. Yeah. Bruce, what is your number?
It wasn't even a B, was it?
No, it wasn't a B. It was a C chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your number?
I got to go with this minute munching monster, Darnell Nurse.
Superhero.
And his line tonight, 1 assist, even plus minus. His assist was one of 3 that I counted, 3 wrist shots that didn't quite overpower Thatcher Demko, but he couldn't control the rebound 3 different times. And the Oilers nearly scored off another one of these too. But one Puljujarvi popped home the rebound, but Nurse he's got such a powerful shot. I was really noticing how hard he was letting them fly. Anyway, in a 65-minute game, he played 32 minutes and 24 seconds, literally half the game, almost literally. And he played 32 shifts, both far ahead of any other Oiler by like 6 shifts. And McDavid had 24 minutes, 8 minutes back of Darnell. He averaged a minute per shift. He hardly played on the power play, just 11 seconds, but 6 minutes and 11 seconds on the penalty kill, 26 minutes at even strength. And he had, I mean, get this, 6 shots, 10 shot attempts, 8 hits, and 4 block shots. I mean, he was just proactive all over the ice. And like you say, not perfect. I mean, you can tell me how many mistakes he made on grade A scoring chances, but one thing you can accuse him of is not being involved in that game. He's a force out there. I mean,
he really is. He's a number one D man, Bruce. Like he is. He does make he can be high event, and he was a little bit like there was a few too many mistakes, and then but it comes with his style of play. Like, and the thing that got me was the 8 hits, because he really, like, he broke up some big Vancouver plays with major hits. Like, there was one cycle that was going on forever, and he hit 2 guys in a row to end that sucker. And he was big Bobby Clobber and all over the ice tonight. So I did like his game. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I would have given him an 8 without the number of fairly major defensive mistakes that he and Barrie made. But he also made them. Like, he made some errors as well. But yeah, that's a superhero time on ice numbers. And
that's Chris Pronger numbers. 30 minutes when you get in that 30-minute range. And he did it a few times last year, but this is right from game 1, being leaned on to that degree. The defense as a whole, the 6-man defense core had 10 hits. Darnell had 8. The other 5 guys combined had 2.
Yeah, they're not big hitters out there.
They're not a physical team, Oilers. No, they really aren't.
No, I really did like I thought Keith and Ceci played very well. I'm glad Keith seemed to bounce back from that really tough hit he took. But I was really impressed with the way Keith forced the play, especially early in the game in different zones of the ice. Cassie Campbell highlighted it between periods, and I had noticed that. He was just jumping up into the play, popping the puck off their stick before they got a chance to get going. It was good. And Ceci was quiet. He had a quiet game, but was solid. So that was a good,
great pass he made to Yamamoto, though.
He did, and they weren't caught out on a lot. They didn't make a lot of mistakes on major chances against. They were solid defensively, and that's what the Oilers are going to need from those 2 guys. So I was really, that was, again, it's just a little bit more, I came in kind of pessimistic about both of them, and I'm getting slowly more thinking, maybe this is going to work out, but we'll see. My number, Bruce, I'm going to go with just one number for Evan Bouchard, his time on ice, which totaled 22:07. It's the 3rd most time on ice after Nurse and Barrie for a D-man on the team. Barrie got out there in overtime. And again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Evan Bouchard encroaching on those overtime minutes as this goes along. He earned the coach's trust. He's out there, our first PK unit with Nurse. He's out there at the end of the game with Nurse. He made just numerous smart little plays with the puck, including one good Bouch bomb on net, and also he lobbed the puck at net and hit the crossbar.
I wondered if that hit the bar. I could see, I had a good line on the shot from the point, and I thought it either hit his shoulder or it hit the crossbar and went in the netting, eh?
Hit the crossbar. And so he's just, he played a very settled, smart game with few defensive mistakes, which is the key, really the key for defensemen. And good for him. Like, he's meeting high expectations versus really high expectations from me, you, I'm guessing everybody thinks a lot of this player, thinks this player can be top 4, maybe top pairing with Nurse, partly because of lack of competition, but also because he's a really good hockey player. So we'll see how this develops. But again, this may if these kind of games continue, this is going to happen fast. It's not going to happen slow.
Well, tonight he was paired with Chris Russell, and at the end of the game, Evan Bouchard played 22 minutes and 7 seconds, and Chris Russell played 12 minutes and 46 seconds. Like almost a 10-minute gap with his partner, and half that was on the penalty kill where Bouchard played 6 minutes and Russell only 1 minute.
They really like him out there on the PK, eh?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah,
and
well,
he did clear the puck a number of times, and so he's got some weird defensive positioning. Sometimes he kind of gets caught in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
where he's not really supporting his partner or really anything. He's just kind of in an odd spot, and he reminds me at times of Justin Schultz.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, Bruce.
Side of the puck.
Of course, I like Justin Schultz a lot.
That's something that, well, there's lots to like about Justin Schultz, but sometimes his defensive positioning wasn't one of those things. And I'll say that about Evan Bouchard, but I'll also say this: he's young, and he's only played now 22 games in the NHL, and he's coming along. And hopefully he learned a few tricks about those, about that positioning, and starts to use his smarts and his reading of the game and his anticipation on the defensive side of the puck to a similar degree as he does on the offensive side.
It's probably a typical hazard for the young player who's always been a brilliant offensive player, right? Like, to not necessarily be the most cautious player and fundamentally sound on defense. We were pretty high on Justin Schultz initially, so I don't want to say that I think Bouchard's better at this stage of his career, because, Justin Schultz came out like a cannon shot early in his career. So we'll see how this develops, I guess, is the reasonable thing to say. I do think Bouchard's hockey IQ on the attack it could be better. Let's say it could be better than Schultz's. He just seems calmer. What he does seem is calmer with the puck under pressure than Justin Schultz seemed to me. And he's, I think, a little bit bigger. I think he might be an inch or two taller, and he's a bit heavier. So he's got a couple things going for him that Schultz didn't have as a defender. And, just because if you have that calm with the puck, you're able to get it out of trouble. You don't get hemmed in your own zone as much. And that's what Evan Bouchard's really good at. So.
Yeah, well, he's still 21 years old, isn't he? And he was drafted in 2018. He had a late 99 birthday. And I mean, he'll be 22
next week.
Right away. But Justin Schultz was 22 before he ever even signed with the Oilers. And,
so fair enough.
He's a young guy, and so he's a little different stage. I mean, Schultz, to his credit, as soon as he signed, he came right in, and other than the lockout year, he played down in Oklahoma City and ripped it up. And then as soon as the NHL started, he came up and he never played another game in the minors. So,
yep. And he's had a long career. He's won a couple Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh. So Justin Schultz has nothing. He proved himself to be a really good NHL hockey player in the end, and he's still going strong. I think he's playing for, is it Washington now?
Washington.
All right, Bruce. Why don't it's a late night? Why don't we wrap it up here? Unless you have anything you'd like.
8 o'clock start, 11 o'clock finish, 12 o'clock get home through the traffic. Oh.
Yeah.
So a little late with the podcast, but to get out there in person.
It's all you rich folks in St. Albert who go to the games, man. Like that's where 90% of the tickets come from is St. Albert. I'm betting.
This was a gift from a very wonderful friend of mine, Bernice.
There you go.
Who came through on my birthday with a pair of hockey tickets, and 42 years to the day, David. The Oilers played their first NHL game on October 13th, 1979. Also my birthday, so I remember it well. And that was my first NHL game that I ever got to see, was Detroit Red Wings at Edmonton Oilers. Their second game in the league, because I started on the road and then they came home and played. Marc Messier tied it up late in the third period, and the Oilers escaped with a point. Marc Messier's first of many NHL goals.
Wow, we are almost at the Oilers' 50th anniversary as a franchise then.
Yes.
Yeah, 50 years as an Oiler fan, Bruce. Both for you and I. 50 years as fans of this team.
I moved to Edmonton in 71 and they declared the WHA that same year and they started playing the next year and they've had a team ever since.
50 good years. 50 good
Most,
years. Some of
well,
them,
they're
maybe the
50
odd decade
hockey
there.
years. Hockey years.
Yeah, maybe the
Well,
odd.
even the lockout year, at least even that year, we had the Edmonton Roadrunners. So
Yeah, let's hope we
we
don't
had
have
a
a.
lot of good hockey in this town.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of good hockey this year. This is going to be a very interesting team and an exciting team. So, um, I got a good feeling about all the new players they brought in tonight. I thought they all looked to a man. And I
Mhm.
loved Colton Sevier going to Duncan Keith's rescue, by the way. I thought that was fantastic that he jumped right in there against
It'd be
Tyler.
more fantastic if he either A, didn't take a penalty or B, actually didn't fall down
Oh, well, whatever.
but he did. I mean, the going about for the teammate part, I'm in favor of that. And it didn't really end well, but at least they killed the penalty, and he never played again. He never saw the ice after that. They were
Sevier?
cut down to 9 lines or 9 forwards.
Oh, yeah.
Turris took his spot. Shootout hero Kyle Turris. We got to mention that.
Yeah,
His
beauty.
spot and played the rest of the way. And Brian McLeod played a tiny bit, and I don't remember seeing uh, uh,
Perlini?
Perlini at all in the third period. Like they just
Yeah.
shut the bench right
I
down. Too
didn't know
many
really how to,
penalties and
yeah, I didn't know how to mark those guys. It was like I gave them fours because,
5 minutes
it's
each.
not exactly an endorsement if you only play
Right.
that much. So you can't give them a five, but it's hard to say too much about it because they didn't get any time on ice to speak of. So, all right, Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
First one at 82. Anyway, yes, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.